Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Kathy. Good morning, Roman. How are we doing?
Hi, good. How you guys doing?
We're doing great. Today's show is super special, everyone. This is actually the Gaetan show. A lot of you probably don't know that he has produced about 400 documentaries. He's been a film and TV editor, director, producer for many years, and he's coming to Las Cruces. For those of you that don't know that, I've moved to Las Cruces a little over a month ago, and we are so excited to be able to introduce him to the community here. Barkhouse, I'm going to show you this Barkhouse here. Barkhouse is an organization it used to be Uncaged Paws. It's a not-for-profit organization, and it's now called Barkhouse. And Barkhouse has put together a whole network of programs, almost like a hub of programs. And one of the components of Barkhouse is a transport logistics program where they transport dogs from shelters where they would be otherwise euthanized, have them transported to other areas via airlift. So this is through planes, and have them airlifted to safe locations where most of the time they're already wanted by people in those particular areas. Well, this weekend, Gaetan is coming in on Saturday, and then on Sunday, he's going to be doing behind-the-scenes shoots of these actual mamas and puppies that are going to be brought over. So this is a fun thing. And then on Sunday evening, he's going to be meeting with the pilot of, his name is Julian Javor, and he is the owner and the pilot for Pet Rescue Pilots. So from there, then they will fly to California, and they will be received by the Helen Woodward Animal Center, and he will see them actually take the dogs and mamas. So I thought we would go over what Barkhouse is about and let Gaetan talk about first why he wanted to do this and why it's important, how it all evolved. So you've got the floor, Gaetan.
Thank you. The reason I'm doing that is sorry, I lost my train of thought. The reason I'm doing that is the importance of saving life and the importance of the effort done to save life of dogs in the context of the pandemic. So for me, it will be an opportunity to come out of my cage. You see my office in the back over my shoulder there. And for one, I will be able to go on location and film in Las Cruces and then in California for this event. I will call that a rescue mission, and I will try to document and chronicle the chain of event taking place on Sunday, Monday, for the rescue and to the rescue of these pet dog in Las Cruces, arriving in California and presented to their new caregiver, who are make sure they are not going to be euthanized. They will find for the dog foster parents and then adoption. So I want to chronicle this chain of event, the people involved, the animal involved, the chain of support from one end to the next one until these animals are saved.
Okay, so now tell us about how this fits in with the Good Dog Day show. What are your hopes on this?
Well, the Good Dog Day show, the purpose of the Good Dog Day show is to talk about relationship between dog serving human and human supporting dog. So in that context, it's a perfect match.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
This is the case where the human extend help to dog to save them and provide them a better opportunity to be a companion in a family with helping other human.
Right.
So there's
Right.
an interconnectivity there between human, animal, human to help at the end of the day to help human. So that's the purpose of doing that. That's the purpose of the Good Dog Day show. The Good Dog Day show focus on service dog, but this is a case where human support dog are rescue, dog rescue will be adopted and live in the family and make people bring some joy and support to people living in that family. That's the objective there.
Right, right. And for those of you that don't know, when Gaetan came to the Dog Connection, he saw immediately that he wanted to do the Good Dog Day show. So we're in the process now of putting all the pieces together so that he can go and present it and then have it as an actual TV or cable TV show. So now I want to go into the area of transport. And Roman, you know yourself that pet overpopulation has been a major problem. And here's what happens, folks, for those that don't know. When you go into an area and there's a lot of dogs, and especially dogs that are what they call street dogs, they get picked up by a shelter, and if they are a kill shelter within a certain period of time, they will go ahead and they will euthanize the animal. If that is one way that a shelter believes that they are reducing pet population in the area. In the Las Cruces area, where it really is almost like a forgotten area when it comes to pets, people don't realize that the shelter will go ahead and they euthanize, but where Kelly Barker, who is the founder and of Barkhouse, she came along and she said, now this has been a number of years in the making. She said, well, we don't have to euthanize these animals if we can transport them to different parts of the country that where there are people that are really looking to adopt dogs. So she started working with a number of different airlift organizations, and one of them happens to be Julian, like I said, from Pet Rescue Pilots. She also is working with Peter Rourke. The dog is my co-pilot. Now, the transport side of it, many shelters feel that it's too much work. And that was the case here. So that meant that the shelters didn't want to participate in helping with the transport. And that left Kelly with the task of creating a network of people that said, you know what, we do think it is a good idea. And we do want to do this. So that's where they came forward. Mm-hmm. And here we are with this pet transport. And it does take a village. It does take a lot of people and dedicated people that are willing to work together, not only logistically, but emotionally to get these dogs to a safe place. So Gaetan is going to be witnessing this firsthand and seeing behind the scenes. Nobody ever gets to see what really happens. And it really takes a lot of volunteers. And now, Roman, from your standpoint, do you not believe that transporting dogs and cats, for that matter, transporting them is a good idea as opposed to euthanizing?
Absolutely, it's a good idea. It's actually a life-saving idea. So on one side, we want to be a non-kill country, and on the other side, it's not convenient kind of to save them because it's too much paperwork and too much labor. Mm-hmm. We have to recognize the two sides. A dog, in average in US, will cost $75 per day in shelter care for the first 13 days. And then what? Now, there are shelters out there who are deficit of dogs. They don't have enough dogs. People want to adopt dogs, but there's nobody there. And then these people go online and buy a dog from a puppy mill. So why don't we network, as you guys do, those dogs and fill those gaps that are out there? So people don't need to import dogs from other states for convenience. It's basically really an open market out there. People need dogs. They cannot get dogs from a shelter. They buy it online. By increasing the overpopulation on dogs, because they support those guys who sell those online, because our shelters who's supposed to have dogs, they kill them.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know if I make sense or something.
Yeah, you do. You do.
Kind of, yes.
Yeah.
Okay?
Save the dog, don't kill them.
It takes a village to create a non-kill community.
Right.
And I know where people say, well, the dog is too sick to be healed. The dog is too bad behaved to be, to staying alive. It's too much responsibility. These people who claim those are not up to date with the data we have already available. There are big shelters in the US who have done that program, and they show results.
Right.
And it is possible. It's just a thing that has to become intercommunicative better. People have to communicate better.
Right.
Volunteers are necessary. Somebody has to organize those volunteers. We create jobs by creating this system.
Right.
Okay. And we take money away from those who take it in their pockets in cost of dogs' lives, and put them on people who actually feed those dogs. And it becomes a closed circle of health and becomes out of that vicious circle. Instead of going inwards, we're going outwards. And I appreciate Gaetan who actually he can see that and wants to make that visible, because that's an important thing for people to see. Because it's easy to pick up a phone and call and then excuse ourselves. Well, it's a breeder, must be a good dog. And he knows inside his gut's feeling, he knows who is he calling off, because he's never seen this person, never seen the dogs, never seen the conditions. And then he says, well, the shelter was empty, so I justify my call.
Right.
And we have to wake those people up. It's not as easy as it looks like. Picking up that phone, the money goes to those who kill dogs.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
That's the system you're paying into.
Okay. So now what I wanted to do is, I said that we're going to talk about Barkhouse, but I wanted to let you know the component where Gaetan is getting involved, which is the transport side of it. But really, to have a full hub and a full system together, Barkhouse has all of the components. So I'm going to show you a little video first to give you an overview, and then we'll go through each of the components of it. Okay? So let's do that first. Okay, so that gives you an overview, and here I'll show you what it actually looks like. You've got a spay neuter, you've got a drive-up facility for vaccination and microchipping, the flights in the ground, which is the transport, and then the mamas and the puppies, and I'll go into that in a minute. They've got a lost to found area, and then cats in the community always seem to be a problem, especially if they're feral cats. And then, of course, they've got the Barkhouse Live, which is where Gaetan and I enter into it, and then pet bereavement. So those are all of the areas. And now I want to show you the actual website. Now, Barkhouse has a number of different people, and I'd like for you to meet the team first. Isn't that cute? First, there's Coco Dean. He's the managing director. We talked about him before. That's him on one of the transport flights. Then we've got this is kind of interesting, and I know that Roman, you'll think this is Muka. He is a veterinarian who is is he's bilingual, and he will be coming to America to actually perform spay neuters for the Las Cruces area, and he will be a full-time vet here. And then we have Jennifer, Jennifer is just wonderful, and she's in charge of administration and logistics. And then we have Kelly Barker, who Kelly and I are the soul sisters, and we're the golden girls of Las Cruces, and she's the founder and the president, and she does everything very, very well. Now, all of the programs that they have, which are the spay neuter and the vaccination and transport and last litter and community and all of those, every one of them requires people that are volunteers. So they ask people to be a foster. Now, why is fostering so important? Well, it's my personal belief that fostering is the key, is really the key. You've got the transport, but if you can get dogs in an area and get them out of a shelter and bring them into a foster environment. I don't know if you've ever been to a shelter, but you see there's usually a description and it will say, this dog is good with kids, it's good with this, it's good with it. Well, how does somebody know that? They come off the street, nobody knows where they came from, unless they came as a surrender to someone. People don't know what the personality is of that dog. So when you take a dog and put him into a foster environment, this allows the foster to be able to document the behavior and may possibly work on making some corrections, particularly if there's a trainer involved that can help the foster. And that's what Barkhouse is proposing, to have the foster system working well, and also have, let's say they got a dog and they say, oh my God, this dog is chewing through everything and I've got to send it back. Well, isn't that the time to bring in a trainer so that the trainer can help them to keep the dog as a foster, so that before they even go to a forever home, that may be corrected, or it's identified as a potential problem, and the trainer can follow the dog and go with the dog to the new home. But at least now you can say with all consciousness, this dog likes to chew on furniture or something like that. So you know that way ahead of time. What's your thoughts on that, Roman?
I think that's a great idea, and I support this since I was a foster trainer myself. So I'm in foster training since 2009, basically full time. Now the last 2 years I'm kind of off because I'm on the street basically with my RV traveling.
Yeah.
I've done several workshops for national rescues and shelters to implement in foster rehabilitations of long-term stay dogs in shelters. And I have data available, and you can see them on my website too if somebody's interested, where people who have no clue about dogs, after doing an intensive weekend, they know more about dogs than the average trainer in their neighborhood. And that makes them an important piece of that rescue mission, because a dog in a shelter is basically in an intensive care. The purpose is to secure the dogs is safe, he's alive, and this important, medical care is being taken care of. And as soon as the dog is stable, he should leave from there because somebody else has to come in. In that case, the foster steps in and puts the dog in a safe environment. Now, dogs need a safe environment to thrive. We have those information. So it's nothing new that a dog in a shelter is not doing well, but a dog in a foster home does much better.
Right.
And it's also in transition time for the dog to calm down, stay away from stress, because stress causes illness. And then we have a sick dog. We have to put him down because he's sick. But in foster care, that falls away. Plus, we save the system a ton of money because, again, statistics says in average in US, $75 per day for the first 13 days. Now, take away 1 week out of that system and put them in the foster care. Let's say 10 days, so we have the numbers straight. We save the system $750 a week, or in 10 days. And that goes into a space where the dog can be taken care of, takes care for good quality food, takes care of all the rescue system that comes in, veterinary follow-up care, spaying and neutering care, all these things are covered. And now having a foster who is educated improves the adoption rate to a minimum. Usually those dogs can be adopted in less than a month, with most weird cases that happen. And then we have also the other part that one foster care who is educated can have multiple dogs in the same house. Instead of having one foster care, he has 3 dogs in foster care, first in, first out kind of system. So
Right.
now we take away that empty kennel, let dogs come in, and one foster care, instead of having one kennel, has actually 3 in that idea, right? I'm not saying
Right.
kennel, but that spots and that is also better because once the adopter comes into a house and meet a dog in a home environment, easier for a person having a child coming to the house, seeing in a humane environment a dog and pick him, rather than going with the child into that shelter, barking and being yelled at through all these 50, 100 dogs are there. That child has a trauma. They will not go in there. And I know as a fact, because I've asked those questions, would you go to a shelter? No, it's dirty, filthy, and loud. I'm not bringing my child in there. And then we have the phone call and order online, and you have delivery in a package with a nice papillon, and here we go. Everybody's happy. So these are all parts that we're missing, and the foster does cover it.
That's right.
In a minimum cost.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of minimum cost, now we're talking about why should somebody spay and neuter, and guess who is here with us? We actually have Muka. Muka is watching the show. Hi, Muka. Welcome, my friend. We can't wait for you to get here to Las Cruces. Anyway, he is the surgeon that will be doing all the spay and neuters for Barkhouse. Why is it important that people spay and neuter their dogs? Why do you think? Well, obviously, the main reason is overpopulation. What are you going to do with those puppies once they come? Or whether it be a dog or a cat, what are you going to do with them? Are you going to put them up for sale? Are you going to say, oops, I didn't see my dog get pregnant? Oops. It's always an oops, oops. But here's the real panic. I can't take care of these dogs. These are puppies, blah, blah, blah. You've got to take them. That's what they say to the shelter. And the shelter says, sorry, we're not taking them. So where do they go? What do you do with them? And many, many times we see dogs in bags that are tossed aside. They're taught, and they kill them. It's okay, right? And they kill them really inhumanely. So what do you do, and why is it important? Okay, what do you think? Roman, Gaetan, what do you think about spay neuter?
They should do a little bit, not just watching. Let's have them give them an answer. Why do you think spay and neuter is important for the
exactly
system?
Okay? Yeah, why do you think? Nobody's answering. Here's who we have here. We've got Lori is here. Hi, Lori. My brother is here. Sebastian is here. And of course, Muka is here. And oh, hey, Dale. Good morning, Dale. Hi. And then he says, who's that lady on the show? That's me. I haven't talked to him for a couple of days, so I'm really sorry. But nobody's answering that question.
Well, let's give him a hint. So the reason why I want to spaying and neutering is because we want to make sure that nobody makes money out of it.
Yeah.
First of all. Number 2, that money will go eventually in a direction of more people make money off those leftovers. So whoever doesn't spay and neuter, and especially for rescues, you cannot just give a dog out. You don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
Goodwill is not working there because you cannot trust people at all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, now, don't you think, though, there's a lot of people that say, oh, well, I want my child to see the birth of a puppy.
Well,
yeah, but
okay, they should deal with their husband and make it happen. And child definitely needs a brother and a sister. So here we go. You want to go nature? Go nature. There's the small bunnies and there are rabbits and there are mice. We can, this is nature, watching nature. But bringing nature into your house, not being responsible because your child wants to see how dogs are being born. My question is, do you have enough money for your child to see that? Because if your dog gets sick in that birth, it can cost you $1,000 at least.
Yeah.
To do a surgery. Or you don't want to skip that too, so your child can see death too.
Right. Yeah.
That argument doesn't sit, at least on my
What are you laughing at, Gaetan?
well, the idea of, oh, my kid would like to see the birth of a puppy. That's very cool.
I saw
I
it
say,
full of blood.
I say, wait, come on! It's not a commercial. It's not a movie. It's not.
But seriously, that is an
It's
answer.
life. It's
Yeah.
life. I mean,
I know.
have some respect for life. This is not like, oh, I would like to see a puppy born. Bye, puppy. I have enough of you.
Well, and then there's a lot of the macho guys that say, well, I don't want to see my dog get castrated. I don't want them to have their balls cut off. I don't want to see that because they're going to lose their masculinity and everything else. But what they don't realize is that actually it makes them calmer and nicer. And they don't know that they lost their testicles. They don't know that. Oh, look at Roman. Are you sure?
Okay, my belief system is not representative for the show. It's just my personal opinion. I am for safe spaying and neutering, and I say desexing, because spaying and neutering is a specific method. Okay, there are different type of methods. There is an inexpensive method that is just affordable for shelters in mass production kind of thing. But there are also other options, a little bit more expensive, and it's more technical personnel, so the whole cost is more expensive, but it's healthier for the dog. So different options. So I am pro spaying and neutering, desexing to be correct, for the social safety, not overpopulation. There are arguments that it's healthier for the dog, which is busted. It's not really the case. But I do believe that the shelter should have the responsibility within the shelter and make sure those puppies are not reproduced.
Right,
Okay?
right.
That's clear. So we have already a question here.
No, I think this is from Coco Dean. He's the managing director of Barkhouse. He says spay and neuter is important to reduce future overpopulation and will serve to keep high numbers of dogs and cats out of the shelter system, reduce the population, increase the impact of available resources for the existing population, and eventually you can see the euthanasia rate drop dramatically. Yes. So between the point here is between spay neuter, and then of course there's the vaccination and microchipping, so that you can get your dog safely back to you or your cat safely back to you if they are microchipped, and if they're vaccinated, then of course they're not going to spread disease. But between spay neuter and then transport, we really believe that that's the key to overpopulation.
And
euthanasia just is not an option. It shouldn't be an option anymore. As Peter Work says, he waits for the day when his transport coordinator says to him, hey, there's no more dogs to transport, because then his job is over, which means that all the dogs have homes,
Right.
and they're no longer going to be euthanized. Right. Yeah. So anyway, I wanted to ask this about anyone. Have you ever had to rehome your pet? Yes. Okay. Why?
I feel, first of all, we have to make that option for people available in a right, healthy way. I had to rehome my dog because it was better for my dog.
Yeah.
It wasn't better for me, but it was better for my dog. I worked in rescue. I had too many dogs coming in the house. That dog couldn't handle it. So I had two options: have my dog suffer or find him a home where he's healthier.
Right.
So my dog was back then 2 years old. He lived with me. He was very well trained, behaved, super awesome dog. He just couldn't handle the stress of other dogs because he was sponging on other dogs' stress. So I found him a good home. And 10 years later, I still get business cards, follow-up cards of those people. That dog with kids, making the whole family happy. Okay. Now, there are convenience rehoming. He's shedding too much. My cat is allergic to my dog, kind of thing. Right. We find him a home, and then a few days later, we find a better dog.
Right.
I don't support that.
Right.
But we should give people an option, not judging them if they need to rehome the dog because of their reasons that are really good reasons, like they're not convenience reasons.
Well, the reason that I mention that is because Barkhouse is also introducing an intervention program. They haven't done it yet, but an intervention. They are doing it on some scale, but not on a real controlled intervention program, because taking the dog to the shelter is not an option for some people. But like you said, people really sometimes have a serious issue.
Yeah.
Somebody may have died in the family, and the dogs are left. What do you do with them? So bringing them into a safe environment where there's an intervention and a foster can be involved, and this is really really great.
I work in the program in Phoenix. Sorry, and got short intervention. I work in the program in Phoenix with this situation where for families in need, because there was a domestic violence, because there was an illness, because there was financial struggles. Those people had no other options than giving up the dog because they couldn't afford the dog. They couldn't afford medication.
Exactly.
And this is where that system is helpful. Bring them help. If that is feeding the dog can stay at home. That's good. If that means somebody has to come up with a plan, have the dog being taken care of by a vet and goes back to the home and save his life and his location, not filling up shelter, that's a great idea. If that means the person can move away from his abuser and the dog is safe temporarily in another place, so once the person settles in a new home, the dog goes back to that, that's perfect. The people going to the military, they don't know what to do with the dogs.
Right. Yeah. But there are some people that do take advantage, Roman and Gaetan. They'll say things like, if you don't come and get this dog right away, he's history. I'm going to shoot him in the head, and then there's the panic and everything else that enters into it. Nobody wants to do that.
I will, I can add to that conversation a little bit. When we look back at we talked a few minutes ago about keeping the fertility, the ability to reproduce to a dog, for instance, it's come with a plan. You have to have a plan, not just say, "Oh, I like my dog. I don't want to, I want to keep him able to reproduce," but you need to take into consideration all the responsibility associated with that, and have a plan, and not say, "Oh my God, I have 7 puppy. I didn't expect that. What should I do?" And no, it doesn't work like that.
Right. And here we have Muka, the veterinarian for everyone here, that's coming to Las Cruces very shortly. He says a spay and neuter is also a way to prevent serious clinical problems. It is the way to prevent overpopulation and plus prevent serious problems like uterine infections, which is the only solution is emergency surgery. So many types of tumors, which mainly called hormone independent. So he's speaking from a veterinarian standpoint. That it's very important to spay and neuter and microchip and everything else. Folks, it's a full circle. A full circle when, as a matter of fact, when we talk about the Good Dog Day show, that's exactly what Gaetan wants to do, to follow the dog from when it became a puppy all the way through to the very end. Hopefully the series will be long enough that 5 years from now, we'll be able to be focusing on the dogs that were the puppies.
Right.
So, because they go through the same thing. So if you think about it, you get a dog, and then you usually are given an opportunity to spay neuter. Then from spay neuter, you go to vaccinate and microchip. And if you can't keep the dog, then you want to make certain that they're going to be in a good home. But keep the dog until we can find a good home. Don't give it to somebody else. If you do have to put it into a foster, then from there it's going to go to, hey, meant to ask you guys, how many of you have you ever lost a pet and given up? Okay. Did you give up? Oh, put your hand out. Okay, I was going to say and given up, because here's what happens. I can tell you this from personal experience, that if you lose a pet, the first thing you do is you go to the shelter and you say, do you have my pet? You go to different resources. You put posters up on trees and in local locations. But all of a sudden, after about a week's period of time, you sit back and you say, my dog is gone for good. My cat is gone for good. I'll never find them. Barkhouse has a whole new system that they are incorporating, which I'm not even going to tell you about it right now, but I want you to know that it is a phenomenal program. I mean, kudos to Barkhouse for coming up with an idea that is already being utilized in other areas, but in this area, because there is such a big problem with the overpopulation, it's going to be wonderful, so that you as an owner of that dog, if you lost it, you know that you've got a team that's going to help you get your dog home. That's super important. I sound like I'm being paid by Barkhouse, but I want you to know that.
One thing I would like to add to our story of filming is the my intent is not only filming the 3 steps of this mission on Sunday and Monday. I would love to be able to keep in touch with 1 or 2 dogs and keep track of them as the time pass, and keep having connection with that dog and see what's happening to him or her, and where it is now, what happened to him or her, and so on and so forth, and kind of chronicle the life of this dog to see what happened to this dog after it has been rescued. So that's a secondary objective we have. And by the way, the crew coming with me will be very, very unique, because that will be the smallest crew I ever worked with, and it's a crew of 1. So bear with me, have mercy. I will do my very best to do the best possible filming, but in under the circumstances, this is a case of a crew of 1. I'll be the cameraman, the soundman, the interviewer, the stage director, name it. I work with crew as little of 5 or 6 people. I work with crew over 100 people working with me. This is the case of 1 guy. So
well, I could tell you that I've known Gaetan for over 25 years, and we've worked together on a huge project 25 years ago, which Gaetan is the calmest, most spiritual, nice, sweet guy. Nothing ruffles him. I'm the worry wart. I'm the panic, and he'll, Kathy, just calm down. So he goes with the flow, and even if there is something that does happen on this trip, I know he'll just go smoothly right through it, and you will see he's very meticulous, and whenever he produces something, it's top quality, folks. It's really top quality. So you're going to be seeing some wonderful footage. Hey, we have another thing here from Muka. He says with neuter and spay, we give them a better chance to live and control overpopulation, and the most important thing that I think this is a perfect mechanism that we are doing here is to have a shelter which is very well prepared for taking care of animals and doing spay, neuter, and vaccination. And from the shelter, you can take them to the other states. Now, in shelter, we're talking about foster care right now, and it may be a very effective way to reduce the cost for doing in every state. We can say it is an amazing way to have center. What we should say here is that the shelter here does not take advantage of the transport service. As I said in the very beginning, they feel it's too much work. And I'm putting that out there now, because I'm not part of the organization, and that at this point I can go ahead and say that I think that's really sad that a shelter doesn't want to take advantage of getting, rather than euthanizing, they have the opportunity to get those dogs out. Why wouldn't they do that? But it's just one of those things.
It's complicated.
Is it complicated?
Sometimes it's a political pressure. Sometimes there are other systems behind that keep the control officer under a certain frame. So it's not always one person making the choice. There's other people behind him looking over his shoulder, and he's supposed to keep that politics tactic. Okay.
Right.
On the other hand, I know exactly sometimes letting people know that we're killing dogs makes people not surrendering the dogs.
Yeah,
So
right.
It's kind of like a gray zone there. Everybody benefits from one way or the other anyway.
Okay, so folks, I'm going to give you where you can go and read the press release about Gaetan. And by the way, this is on Barkhouse. This is for their media friends. This is Charlie. Charlie's in the front there. And you can just scroll down and then click on this, and that will bring you over to the press release about Gaetan. Okay, well, I think we're okay. There's Muka's in a talkative mood today, so that's good.
He should be on the show right now.
Yeah, right. You should be on here, Muka.
Send him a link.
I did at the beginning of the show. Okay, he said there is another thing. Said there is one other thing, that there is a high population of dogs without care. This gives us a chance for a high rate of fleas and ticks, right?
Kennel cough.
Yeah, right. And from my experience, this external parasites cause very serious problems, not only for pets, but also for humans. So I think we have controlled population and well-prepared shelter. This will reduce the incidence of tick-borne infections. And believe me, I saw with my own eyes, it is an epidemic in some places. There is no such facilities for caring. That's it. You're absolutely right. Hang on here a second. Okay, well, that's it, folks. I think that we're a wrap for this show, and I look forward to seeing Gaetan. Here's what we're going to try to do, and I say try because we don't know for sure that it will be super effective, but when Gaetan is in the air with Julian on Monday, we're going to try and broadcast live from the cockpit of the airplane, and he can go around, and if we have a bad connection, then so be it. But as Gaetan always says, if the gods of technology are with us, then we will end up having a live show on Monday. We don't know exactly what time yet, but we'll keep you posted.
One thing I would like to add before we close is I would like to thank Kathy for insisting for me to get on the show, because once she approached me, the reality, when she approached me about a dog show, I went like,
yeah. Yeah.
And I blame her because she sent me a video she produced, and I saw the video and I said, the light bulb turned on.
Yeah.
I said, I got it.
Yeah. Right.
Serve dog as an example to human, how to serve human.
Right.
I say, okay, I'm on board.
Yeah. Right.
Thank you, Kathy.
Okay.
Thank you, Roman.
Any last thoughts or anything you want to say?
We need to support the foster system.
Yes.
You guys, most people don't understand the value of a foster in non-kill community. We just underestimate it. Now we know with COVID how important it is, because suddenly we saw the shelters being empty, right? And where are the dogs? In foster care.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
We just want to keep them there. We don't want them to be returned.
That's right.
Story.
Right. Well, we found that, good thing you brought that up. We found that a lot of times the fosters feel neglected, because once they're out of the shelter system, it's like, oops, those dogs are gone. They're safe, and they never follow up. They never do anything, and they never try and adopt. I shouldn't say never. Never is not a good word, but often.
Rarely.
Often.
Yeah.
Often they will
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes, right. You know what I'm trying to say. Okay, Coco just said something here. Let me see. Coco says, looking forward to meeting you, Gaetan. Yeah, you'll be meeting him on Sunday. Then he says, thank you for taking interest in what we're doing here in Las Cruces. And then he says, thank you all for putting forward this incredibly important conversation. People need this information in order to create change. Coco, that's why you are the managing director. This is another spiritual soul, Gaetan and Roman. Coco is right there with us.
I look forward to meet with you, Coco, by the way.
Okay. All right, you guys. Well, we're going to end the broadcast now, and we'll see you incognito on Monday.
Kathy, I'm going to see you in person on Saturday.
I know. It's been 20 years.
In person. Wow. 20 years later.
And 20 years,
23 years later, by the way.
Yeah, right.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Okay, hang on here. Bye.